One of the other things that's happening right now is, we have the National Guard from Texas is being sent to Illinois. Essentially, we have one state sending troops to another state. And this is like basically Texas declaring war on Illinois. And Abbott comes out and he says something along the lines of, if they're not going to do their jobs in Illinois, we'll go up there. Texas will come and do it for them. That's not the way this works.
Welcome to Third Side Convo with special host Jeff Klein. Your panelists today are Ted Johnson, Stacia Boyd, John Dunn, and Gary Gunter. And now, your host, Jeff Klein.
Hey, folks. Howdy from Dallas, Texas. We're going to have some fun tonight. Our topic, we're going to dive right in. Our title of our show today is Fat Generals Convention. Does ICE need serving and protecting? That being said, we're going to just jump right to a question where the question is Department of Defense or Department of War? Stacia Gray.
Department of Defense.
Gary Gunter.
Department of Defense, unless they fire the first shot.
John D.
The truth is, it's all just silly. I could really care less what the name is. Department of War definitely sounds a little aggressive, but whatever. I have no preference.
Pete Ted.
Man, Pete Ted. That's Ted. It's definitely a performative issue from the president. He wants to walk around and pee on all the institutions in our government and make them his own. And this is just another example.
Sort of like the Gulf of America, huh?
Yes, right. Correct. Good one.
Yes, Stacia, go ahead.
And expand on that a little bit more, though. I think the performative nature of it is who's he performing for? And the Department of Defense, which we came up with, and again, legislation has to change that name. You just can't wave a wand and have things happen. But it's because it says who we are. Words, labels, titles say who we are. It is like it's performing for people who want to take us from this position of being a stalwart, a bulwark, and turn us into basically this little like boys playing dress up and war, the war on warriors. Good Lord, the world's biggest, toughest, most lethal army the world has ever seen. And somehow we got to change the name.
Why did we change it shortly after the Civil War from war to defense?
Because we grew up. We were in the process of growing up.
Okay.
Well, the other thing is you got to remember after World War II, the biggest conflagration in the history of civilization, we went back into places like Europe, Germany, and Japan and rebuilt them, and through the Department of Defense relations. So it was a way to say, we're not just warriors, we're here to help. And so going back to the word war, I think is the president's way of saying, more or less, you have to be afraid of us, bow to our power.
Well, that's a good point. That takes us, of course, into what he's telling our troops to do. He told the generals at that event that the military's job was to go to American cities to get their training. What do you think about that, Ted?
Oh, I think it's a good thing that he's following the steps Hitler made in 1930, 31, 32 in using, the military to get to populace, the barely connected, I'm here. Oh, what's going on in the streets? Oh, don't mind them. They won't bother us. They're after somebody else. Populace, much like Hitler did before his overall takeover of the government in Germany.
Gary, if you were still in the Marine Corps, what would you think of being stationed to Portland, Oregon to be a policeman?
Well, I've been a policeman too, so I think that they've got to have both of them. They've got to have law and order, and they've got to have somebody to enforce it. And the way that the politicians in most of the places that we're having to go They're not trying to enforce it. They're wanting to make a sanctuary city out of the whole state, out of the whole country.
What?
But
Sanctuary city,
that's
Stacia.
a what? No.
What?
No, because whether they are or not, that's not the way this works. Constitutionally, the policing is done by the states and locals, and the Department of Defense defends us from foreign enemies. We are not. The military is not here to be a police unit. Like you said, you need to have both in a civilized society. You need to have your military, and you need to have your policing units. But whether we like it or not, whether anybody likes it or not, the government of Oregon has not fallen. There is a functioning governor. There is a functioning mayor. The police are doing just fine. Do we not like what's going on there? Maybe not, but they're fine.
They're not doing their job in protecting their people.
They are doing it just.
How do you know that?
Their people are not the ones who are claiming that who want to call these people in.
Well, let's back up our claims with evidence, folks. What do you got there, Ted?
Well, I think that the Insurrection Act has to be used against an organized enemy that is stated a war against the entire government. And I think a few protesters in Portland, or for that matter, people who are worried about social issues in Chicago, do not constitute an organized affront to the entire U.S. government.
John, what do you think?
Now, do you want me to answer the initial question?
Answer the latest question. How's that?
Well, the whole idea of them being there, I'm a big Malcolm Gladwell fan and 10,000 Hours to Mastery. So I think it is incredible that they are in cities getting real live training. And, if we are defending against foreign invasions, if people are here illegally, they're foreign, and then they're technically invading as well.
That is a grotesque use of the U.S. military training on U.S. citizens. That is insane. You do not train your military, especially when our military has plenty of very, very good training opportunities. We do training exercises with other governments and other militaries. We bring their militaries here to train at our facilities. The result of our training and our method of training, once again, to state the obvious, we are the largest, most deadly, biggest military that the world has ever seen. And
what is it about our people that need to be constrained anyway? Gary, you said unsafe. How do you know that everybody's unsafe in Portland?
Well, when I watch the news, they tell us about. I don't watch what y'all do. I watch Fox, but yeah, but the people in D.C. are so happy that they can now walk around a safe town that they haven't been able to do for years.
I don't know about that.
D.C. a couple of months ago.
I'm pretty sure if you look at the books, you'll see that the crime rate was dropping in TC before all this started. So what do we do between when somebody's information is different from what the information put out there is?
Well, when you stop counting crime decreases.
Not everybody at once. John, go ahead.
When you stop counting crime decreases. And I can tell you, you can believe it or not, it doesn't matter to me. I've got a guy who, he's more of a traditional Democrat, and he has a $20 million a year business in Chicago. And he's very happy about the potential for National Guard troops being there. And he said that crime is just over the top, and the nickname Chirac is well deserved.
I am looking at a live stream on my other screen right now of the things out in Portland on their in front of their ice things. There's maybe 24 people standing around, older women. See somebody wearing a weird outfit of some sort. There is absolutely nothing there. The streets are standing, the lights are on, people are wandering around. Maybe they're jerks, but I don't know. But they're not doing anything that's going to be bringing down the U.S. government. What
data is the president using to choose which cities he's sending the National Guard or the active military to?
Probably the George Floyd protests from 6 years ago. That's the bad cities. I'm sure Minneapolis is coming. Johnny's resorting to the south side of Chicago, the problems they've had there, which are steep. I just don't think it's steep that requires National Guard. But yes, they are issues that can be solved by our regular means of government.
Now that brings up a new use of a government agency, ICE. They're also ramping up in the same cities, and the military is there to protect them. What's that all about?
Exactly. What is that all about? First of all, they're extremely well funded. I've not seen a single picture of these people without walking around with, very, very large weapons. I mean, they could probably all use a little bit of a weight loss program. They look kind of like Meal Team 6 to me, but they still have this function of they're walking around with their faces covered. What kind of coward walks around with their face covered? It's like, oh, they might be doxxed. I could be doxxed. I'm on this. Please, everyone calm down. The thing with ICE is that this is becoming a absolute paramilitary organization, and this weird policing thing that does not abide by law, does not have to abide by law. Apparently nothing is being done to them, again, because we don't just have a problem with ICE as the Department of Homeland Security. We have a problem with the Justice Department. All of this is coming together to create an absolutely lawless entity, very similar to the SA. And that, again, going back to our favorite friend Germany, who learned a lesson about turning their policing operations over to being one person's enforcement wing.
John, tell us why it's okay to be masked if you're in law enforcement.
That's not true. I mean, if you're in law enforcement, or for your first responder, you have to have ID clearly present for people to see who you are and where you're from.
John, make the case for masking law enforcement.
I mean, I wish they didn't have to be masked, but in this crazy world that we live in and all of the hatred towards ICE and people having young children, I'm going to believe that everything they're doing is above board.
Hatred.
I'm glad their identification is being protected.
Where did you learn about hatred, Johnny? Where did the hatred come from? Who told you that?
All right, that's our cue to go to commercial, and we'll come back and we'll talk about that very issue when we come back from commercial. Folks, please subscribe to the show, comment on the show, like us on Facebook and all the other platforms. We want to see more of you, and you want to see more so you can see more of us.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810. The Tibia Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com.
Welcome back, folks. So I'd like to hear what our new guest and Marine has to say about masking law enforcement. You said you were also in law enforcement, Gary.
Yes, sir. Well, in Florida, where I think everybody on this thing lives. Oh,
California.
Okay, that's right.
Keep going, Gary. I'm
Somebody
sorry.
in California too. The police do not put their home address on their driver's license. The state won't allow it because people try to come after people where they've done their jobs. And we got a lot of crazies out there.
That's not quite accurate, though. I mean, you're correct in that they're considered one of our protected entities. So I'm also a poll clerk for voting in here in Orange County. And so, for example, if a police officer or a judge or a politician, certain politicians, not all of them, if they come up to vote, when we check them in, yeah, their ID has their address on it, but we're not allowed to look at it, say it out loud, anything of that nature, because it comes up on the screen. nope, this is a protected one person. We don't say it. But no, it's on the driver's license.
And you're sure that you're looking at their home address?
Yes.
How are you
Another
sure?
thing, Stacia, is I don't know if ICE will come into or the National Guard will come back to California because Governor Newsom passed a law that they have to have no covering on their faces to do their services protecting ICE. And so that's going to be interesting to see if they force that.
Isn't California still part of the United States?
It's a state law.
So that was upheld by federal appeals court.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what
And that's
about?
something else. Like, for example, one of the other things that's happening right now is, we have the National Guard from Texas is being sent to Illinois. Essentially, we have one state sending troops to another state. And this is like basically Texas declaring war on Illinois. And Abbott comes out and he says something along the lines of, if they're not going to do their jobs in Illinois, we'll go up there. Texas will come and do it for them. That's not the way this works. Governor Pritzker of Illinois is the governor, the duly elected governor. The mayor of that city is the duly elected mayor of that city. The only way Guard troops can be called across borders like that is if the governor invites them, asks for them. It's absolutely not possible for someone to be, or not legal, shall we say, for one governor to decide he's going to send his National Guard units into another governor's state unbidden.
What do you think, John?
I mean, I was trying to look that up after you sent the email over. I just can't really comment on that, but I'm just glad to see states helping out other states get their.
Well, but should they be helping another state if they didn't ask for help?
If you're asked.
That's the big
Again,
question.
If you're asked, yeah.
If the governor of Illinois, and as we've done many times with our National Guard, it's like Florida has sent our National Guard troops to help out North Carolina, to help out other states that have had disasters,
hurricanes.
Storms, yeah, absolutely.
Our
Natural
governor
disaster.
asked them to come when they came here. It's a very key distinction.
And the
So
governor of
certainly-
Texas saying, I'm sorry, real quick, the governor of Texas saying, we're going to do the job for them. It's just another performative statement and meant to foment or support his claim that he's a strong pro-right individual.
Are there states that some of these people should be going to that might vote differently? Because that seems to be a reason why the president has selected some of these states.
Oh, I think he's. Go ahead, Stacia.
I was going to say just real briefly, it's like it's very clear, and he's even said that he is going after Democrats, that he's going after Democrat states, or Democrat-led states, Democrat voting states. And he actually came out today and said he was going to be cutting funding as part of the shutdown. He was going to be going after Democrat projects only, and that's what he said. There's no fuzz on that. That's exactly what he's doing.
Is that the right thing to do, Gary?
I think that whatever the president asks people to do, there should be some taking notes of it.
What
does that
about
mean?
the
President-
three branches of government? What about checks and balances?
We've got some checks and balances. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
But the president does not control the legislature. He is not over the legislature. They are two co-equal branches of government. That's what it says in the Constitution.
Yes, it does.
It also says in the Constitution that all things, that the federal government gets to do a certain list of things and everything else is left to the states. And that is in the Constitution. That's the way it works. So for the governor, for one governor to send troops to another governor's state, insane. For the president to decide he's going to send federal troops into a state against that elected leadership's and the people's there's invitation, that's lunacy.
And you got to remember, during the 2020 election disruption, I think Texas brought suit against other states for election fraud, and the courts threw it out immediately. It's called no standing. Texas has no control over how Illinois votes.
That's true. They're not
So
going
from
up. They're going up there to protect people.
So from a law enforcement perspective, we were told ICE had one mission, and they seem to be drifting from that mission. What do you think about that, Gary? How do we justified drifting, or do we try to get them to stay on mission?
Well, what they're doing is going after criminals who broke the law entering the United States.
Not anymore.
And it's
Ted?
not against the law for them to come in?
Well, no, what they've done is they're now going after people who are citizens, people who are in the process of getting their papers. They're going through the processes. They are doing the things that they say come here legally, and that's exactly what they're doing. And then they're being rounded up. A lot of the things that ICE is also focusing on at this point are again, going back to like my favorite word tonight, are absolutely insane. Standing on the top of a building with pepper spray guns and shooting down onto a crowd of people who are literally doing nothing but standing around. And one of them is a priest praying in full priest regalia, got his little collar on and everything, and then laughing about it. This is immoral, and it is vile, and it is being sanctioned by the head of Department of Homeland Security
and the guy above him. I actually believe this could erupt into another Kent state. I projected and said in a long note to various people in this group that if they ever come to Oakland or Berkeley, you're going to see a large protest, and you're going to see a large amount of people surrounding ICE vehicles,
Right,
and with the intention of being a media issue. They'll start screaming something like, "The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching."
When we come back to commercial, we'll talk about civil disobedience and uncivil disobedience. So get your talking points ready. Be ready to back them up. We want to hear you folks. Please subscribe, comment on the show. We want to hear what you have to say about the show. You never know where our next guest panelist is going to come from. Make some great comments. Maybe we'll book you on the show.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignment. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop.
Welcome back, folks. So civil disobedience or uncivil disobedience, I think we've seen a lot of both these days. Gary, did you ever have any experiences with protesters in your career?
No.
How about anybody else who's been on the other side? Who's marched in a protest?
I marched in one.
I'll be another on the 18th. No Kings
that was my
Day.
first protest ever. Was the No Kings March. First time I ever went to a march and a protest.
I went to Berkeley. There were protests daily in a lot of ways about anything. Civil disobedience is a way of life.
I went to my things with a T-shirt that said "Republican voter against Trump," so that's what I walked down the street wearing.
Well, how were you treated by the police or National Guard?
Well, the police were basically monitoring traffic to make sure that and there was a couple of hundred people, and I was actually in Claremont. I didn't make it into downtown Orlando. There was too many people down there. But in Claremont, they monitored the traffic. They smiled, they waved, they talked. There was only one guy who was like kind of standing outside of one restaurant yelling. But other than that, it was just a very normal protest of about a couple hundred people walking up and down the sidewalk a few times, holding flags and signs. I had my T-shirt and I had my American flag. That was my contribution.
John, have you marched or anything?
No, I'm too busy out actually doing good in the world with those.
Oh, really? That's not good? Wow.
Are you implying that I'm not busy, that I'm not doing good in the world? To bring it up.
I think that people,
they're perfect leftism right there. I simply say what I'm doing, and they have to get all, I'm so mentally weak, I'm all offended.
Johnny was very judgmental.
I think we can agree that the two gentlemen who made civil disobedience popular proved that it's powerful and worthwhile. Mr. King and Mr. Gandhi, I think they showed us the
Henry
power
David Thoreau, if you want to really go
protest.
back to that.
Well, yeah, that was he definitely was involved as well, but not in the same quite in the same way. But
Well, a bunch of people in 1775 boarded some ships and threw a bunch of British tea into the water. I mean, is that civil disobedience? Country is founded on it.
And well, it also, I mean, when you think about, like, we're talking about troops in the streets and whatnot, the first time any president sent troops federal troops into a state or whatever was actually President Washington, and he sent them to the Weigel factory or to Weigel to arrest a guy named Weigel in Pennsylvania, and it was the Whiskey Rebellion. So there's a long precedent of sending troops. But one of the things that we did very quickly after that, I think it was like early 1800 or something, 1805, 1806. That was when we passed the first strict set of rules around doing that. And we did it because we didn't want to do that. We want to make it very clear that there was a distinction between our military and at the time, we didn't really have policing, but, our equivalents of policing at that time.
Posse
and it was a
comitatus.
very important thing to do.
Yeah.
Posse, is that when posse comitatus became law?
Yes. When did it come up? 1807 was the Insurrection Act, and posse comitatus was, I'm not sure about that one. I'll see if I can find it. 1878 was posse comitatus.
Let's talk about consensus. What can we all agree on when it comes to the troops or the generals, ICE? What's a common ground point? Joe?
Joe.
John, I'm sorry, John.
Look, I have no issue with civil disobedience if people want to do that. It's just not for me. And one of the questions that you didn't get to that you said you were going to get to are about the standards of the generals and majors being in shape. I have to bring that up. Since you said you were going to talk about it, I'm absolutely all for that. I don't know if you people know it, but I do a lot of work with the Department of Defense, and I can tell you it is being incredibly well received. There should be incredibly high standards in everything we do in life.
Okay.
We should not be led by people who cannot even lead themselves.
Okay, how can you say that? What kind of judgment goes into that, and what kind of thinking goes into that judgment? That you can't do them themselves.
Would two people who both had high levels of self-discipline have a more effective relationship than two people who have no level of self-discipline?
Who rose to the rank of general in the U.S. military or admiral in the U.S. military have no sense of discipline?
I am saying I am all for the current high sets of standards of self-discipline.
I think he's adding that fitness is a sign of discipline.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a 25-year or 20-year-old private and a 55-year-old general.
Absolutely, I don't disagree with that at all.
Well, so much for consensus.
What did Lincoln say about McClellan when his General McClellan? And he said, Mr. President, he drinks whiskey all the day. And Lincoln said, well, find out what he's drinking and send a case to all my other generals.
Yeah.
I don't think fitness has to do with capabilities.
Winston Churchill, I do not agree with it, but by and large, having incredibly high standard levels of fitness reflects self-love, and it is a good thing.
It wasn't McClellan. It was
Gary. How does that carry over to real life?
In real life in the military,
Yes, sir.
it carries over. Once somebody reaches the rank of general or any of the subsequent generals, it pretty well eases up on them.
Do they get less respect if they're less fit?
No. Once they're that age, and once that they have attained that level, they still get respect for what they've done, not what
So they
they're
got
doing.
respect. The rank is what they're taught to respect is the rank itself.
But I think when we talk about fitness, especially within the military, I mean, one of my favorite ones is, West Point: duty, honor, country. Duty, honor, country. And it's like we are sitting in a situation right now where the people who are in high leadership positions in this could not pass any 3 of those. They're not fulfilling their duty. They're not fulfilling their oath of office to defend and protect.
Well, now we're into the civilian leadership of the military, right?
We are, but at the same time, it's like that. You want to talk about fitness? That is what our soldiers have traditionally been held as their standards. Their standards are not just physical; they are mental. They are emotional. They are all of these things. They have very high standards, and they should. It is not a democracy in the military. It is, and we don't want it to be. We want it to be, but that's all built upon trust and honor in the rank above you.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up with that, folks. Lively conversation. Thank you for Grant. Okay. McClellan got fired. Okay. Thank you so much, Ted, for correcting. Thanks, everybody. Subscribe to the show. Comment on the show. Click us on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Say hello. And we'll love to see you next episode. We'll have Bob Phipps back to lead the conversation. You might see me over there and one of the other little